Given the fact that the programs are competitive, people often ask, well, what distinguishes a really excellent application from the rest of the pack? And I would say the number one answer to that question is strong evidence that the entire congregation is enthusiastic and on board with this program. For instance, it's not simply the pastor making a statement about why this is important for the pastor's life. There's also a section in which a representative from the congregation will testify as to why this is an excellent opportunity for the congregation as a whole. One of the most important questions on the application asks you to describe the decision process by which the congregation decided to make an application. And that question is so important because, again, it demonstrates a strong and widespread congregational commitment to this possibility. And that not only is important to an excellent application, that's also a key ingredient in a successful renewal leave experience.
It's got to be good in terms of some of the detail stuff about the budget and not just throwing numbers up willy-nilly. I think an important thing about it is to find the right rhythm of rest and activity. It was really smart and completely by accident that when we did it, we put most of the travel up front and on the back end of the time was a lot more staying in one place and resting, and that was really good.
It should make sense in that that it's cohesive, that ultimately there's some type of, not even necessarily quantitative, but some type of qualitative objective to or outcome that's desired as a result of the experience, not just for the pastor, but for the church as well. Like, what do we want to be moving in our spirits as a result of this experience? What do we want to emit from our spirits out to the community and to other congregants and other community partners as a result of this experience?
I would say take a lot of time to read the instructions. That sounds very basic, but these instructions in the request for proposals are set up to help make your proposal readable for the people who are going to be looking at it. Take time to talk about not what you think we want to hear, but what's exciting to you? What are the things that energize the congregation? What are things that energize the pastor? Those kinds of things will leap off the page when people are reading your proposal.
We're often asked, well, can there be any communication between the pastor and the congregation while the pastor is away? We understand, of course, that emergencies arise, but the best applications will make it clear that the congregation is putting the necessary coverage in place so that the pastor can truly be confident that the congregation is in good hands and can truly step away.
Well, it's important for congregations to think pretty far ahead when they're looking at the Clergy Renewal Grant Program, because they are sending in proposals almost a full year prior to when the actual renewal leave would start. So in April of each year is typically when that cycle's proposal is due, and it won't be until late August of that year that notifications will go out. So again, that is the year prior to when the leave would actually take place. So there's a lot of thinking and planning ahead. So the clergy renewal programs don't have specific guidelines for how long a pastor needs to have been in ministry in order to participate. We've made grants to congregations whose pastors are relatively new in ministry, and we've also made grants to congregations whose pastors were looking at how to conclude well or how to end well. So this really is, the important part really is for the proposal to make a case for why this is the right time for this pastor and this congregation to experience a renewal leave together. We've had people call and ask, what about pet care? What about child care? My spouse works. What about my spouse's lost income as a result of participating with me on this clergy renewal grant? And our answer is this grant funding is for whatever it requires to let you do what you need to do for your clergy renewal program. So propose to have grant funds covering pet care and child care, or maybe an offset for lost income from a spouse participating with you. Your budget narrative needs to show us that you've looked into how much this particular trip will cost. It will need to show us that you've consulted a tax advisor to determine what kind of personal tax implications you'll have as a result of participating in this Clergy Renewal grant. The more time that you can give to thinking through and researching not only your general plans but also your specific budget numbers, that'll show us that you've done the work you need to do to actually prepare for a Clergy Renewal leave.
By its very nature, the application for these programs is substantial. It requires a great deal of thought, some research. We don't want congregations to think that they need to engage that process entirely alone without any help from us. We see it as our privilege to be able to walk alongside congregations at various points in the process of discerning whether or not to apply, and then also once the decision is made to apply,